afternoon and welcome to the House of Orange. My name's Frank Rock, coming at you on this rain-soaked afternoon. We'll talk a little football today. We'll get into it. The season concluded last night with Michigan beating Washington to win their first national championship since the 90s? 98? I'm sorry, 97, not 98. What am I thinking? Right here, 97, when Michigan and Nebraska, I guess, had the split, one AP, one coaches poll national championships. And how in the world can I say 98? We all know who won it in 98. But thank you for tuning in today. So I'm going to get into the way too early 2024 polls. That's always a popular topic as soon as the college football season ends, college basketball, college baseball. There's always that way too early poll. And looking at the polls, I've looked at an article on 24/7 Sports this morning. It talked about 11. They mentioned 11 different polls. So Tennessee's median on that, their median average ranking was, when I calculate, 14.45, which is right around 14. So the highest any polls had them was 11th. The lowest was 17th in that range. So if I'll look at that into this season, and based on, and I went to the ESPN poll. I went and looked at that. They had Tennessee at 17, which ranked 8th in the conference. So I looked at who was ahead of them and what I thought about it. Obviously, Georgia, number 1. You had Alabama. You had Texas, number 2. Alabama, I think, was number 4. You had Oklahoma, Missouri, LSU ahead of them. Trying to think who I'm forgetting. Right, Ole Miss was in there as well. Based on Tennessee's schedule, based on how it falls, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the best schedules Tennessee's had in a while. Tennessee normally plays a tough schedule. Not that it'll be easy next year, because you do have a trip to Athens. You do have Alabama on the schedule. You have Florida. You have Missouri. So there are Oklahoma. But what's the ceiling for this team? Do they end up around that ranking? They finished the season 17th in the polls, which is decent. A 9-4 season. Could it have been better? Possibly. Could it have been worse? Possibly as well. But looking into Tennessee's season next year, and I'm going to bring some, I'm going to record some stuff here in a little bit, talking about Tennessee's 2-year window, talking about where this team goes, what they have coming for next year. But you've got your franchise quarterback in Nico. There's no doubt about that. He showed enough promise in that bowl game against Iowa to be excited about. We saw what Dylan Sampson could do, being the man. We saw Cam Seldon a little bit. You're going to get Brew McCoy back on the outside. You're bringing in Brazel from Tulane. You get Dante Thornton back off of injury. Squirrel White's coming back. Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod. These guys get another year. You're bringing in Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, 2 of the higher recruits as a tandem that Tennessee's had in recruiting in a while. The big question with this offense, obviously, is going to be on the line. We know John Campbell's announced he's returning. Cooper Mays has announced he's returning. He hasn't announced it yet, but based on what I've read, I do believe that Spraggins will be back as next year as well. So that's 3 out of 5. You've added a good class from the high school ranks. Now the question is going to be, do they add Hurd from LSU? It's not been a good portal recruiting for offensive linemen, but it is cutthroat. It's big time when it comes to that portal. You get experienced offensive linemen. All teams need line help. You can never have too much help there. I don't know what the answer is to why Tennessee's not getting who they want, but it is competitive. And I don't think it all comes down to NIL. I have some thoughts on it that I believe I will discuss later on in another video. Right now, it's not the time and place. I'm looking at these 2 early polls, but you get Hurd in here. That's a good pickup. That's a former 5-star recruit. Played some at LSU last year. Wasn't a consistent starter, but you get a guy with that kind of talent. I do believe Glenn Ellerby is a good coach. I look at some of the talent they had this year. I mean, it made a big deal when Cooper Mays was out. You had guys who, their line recruiting has been interesting. I feel it's been more project-based than it has ready to go. I feel guys they brought in this year, they have some guys coming in from the high school ranks ready to go. I think that's a difference from the last couple of years of their recruiting. And And again, you're trying to build a base. You're trying to build a team. You have so many defections like they had when Jeremy Pruitt left town. You're trying to build back. They've taken from the JUCO ranks, which, if you guys will remember, there's a point in time, if you went to the JUCO ranks, that guy's expected to come in and be your immediate impact. That was really kind of a glorified portal in a respect. It was the portal before the portal without, maybe with or without that playing at a big college experience. A lot of times if you come from JUCO, it's either you didn't get recruited by a big program out of high school, or it's due to grades or being kicked off in another program. The JUCO ranks I don't feel they're as important now as they once were. So you may add a JUCO guy now. It's a different world with it. They may or may not be ready to come in and contribute. They may be still a little bit of a project at that point. And we've seen that with the guys Tennessee have brought in from the JUCO ranks so far. You add Hurd in, and then if Carrick, the lineman, come in from Texas, maybe he pans out this offseason. He didn't have much of a year this year. He didn't contribute much at all. Of course, you go after replace two linemen. Mincy left. I'm going to be totally honest on that. People are like, oh, man, that sucks to lose him. He did nothing. You watched him in that bowl game. He did nothing in that bowl. He's not a loss. All right. I hate to be like that. I hate to be that blunt. I hate to be that frank about it. But I don't see Gerald Mincy, especially if he's demanding all this NIL money. He's not worth it. He was not worth it. I feel they made the right call in letting him go. Cooper Mays was worth it. John Campbell, worth it. Spraggins, if they get him back, worth it. Gerald Mincy, he's not worth it. He didn't play his way worth it. Just like the secondary, those guys that wanted money to stick around, they didn't earn their money. Maybe somebody else give it to them elsewhere. Good for them. Good for them. They're able to get their money. We're going to see new blood in that secondary, and frankly, they needed it. So you looked at offense. That offense has a lot of potential. You look at the defense on the other side. That defensive line should be very good. Amari Thomas is back. James Pierce is back. I feel Joshua Josephs will step in and be back. You've got Dominic Bailey. You got Tyree West. There's a lot of talent on that line that's coming in. Caleb Herring. Linebacker needs to take another step. That's a position that doesn't get enough scrutiny, in my opinion. It's always the secondary that gets it. This linebacker unit has not performed. Aaron Beasley's had his moments. Jeremy Banks had his moments when he was here. Other than that, I mean, you'll get Elijah Herring make a big play, and he's lost for numerous plays. This linebacking unit needs consistency. Getting Pilly back, the BU transfer is going to be big. I thought he looked really good in a limited amount of time we saw him against Virginia, and I think that was a big loss this year. But I'm excited to see new blood in that secondary. There's a lot of talent coming back in that secondary, and that is something that I'll record again later on. Try to get everything in within 10 minutes here. So this defense has questions for sure. You have questions in the secondary. You have questions in the offensive line. If Willie Martinez and Glenn Ellerby, and I'll even go as far as say Brian John Marie, that linebacking unit's not getting questioned enough. It just isn't. That's three units that need to step up, and I feel there's talent there to do it. I do feel that this influx of talent in the secondary. You got guys coming back who were very well thought of recruits. You've got guys coming in this year that are thought to be good recruits as well. You've got guys coming in the portal. You got one from Oregon State, one from Middle Tennessee. These were guys who were recruited by other Power 5 programs. The talent is in Knoxville. The talent is in Knoxville. I'm going to record a video some point this week giving my initial impressions of how I think Tennessee will do on this 24 schedule. It may surprise you. It may be a little ambitious, but I like this schedule in Tennessee's favor next year. 11-17, median of 14. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, it could end there. 12-team playoff next year with Tennessee's schedule. I feel it's an underachievement right now. I'm going to go on a limb now. It's an underachievement based on what we know now in regard to next year if this team is not in the playoff. I'll conclude on that. My name's Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Go Big Orange. Be on the lookout. I'll record some stuff and post it later on as well. But you guys have a good day. Stay safe, and go Vols.
Everyone rejects me. dream.